Welcome back to another Peer2Peer podcast. Today we're going to be interviewing Mr. Gold. Mr. Gold is our upper school orchestra teacher. Me and Anna are both in the orchestra, so we both do CP orchestra with him. So we're going to be asking Mr. Gold a few questions. Yeah.
I'll go first. How'd you end up teaching at Pingry?
Kind of a long story, but I'll try to make it short. I went to college as a music major, and then I came to New York to study string playing. I got my graduate degree in viola performance. And then I was a professional string player for many, many, many years. And then a friend of mine told me about a part-time string teaching job at another private school. And I thought, why not? So I started doing that. And I did that part-time for 5 years. And then after 5 years, they asked me to be the department chair, but that meant going full-time. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that, but then I thought, yeah, let's do it. So I did that. And 5 years later, this job, which was the beginning of last school year, this job came up. And I went for it and I got hired.
Wow. Yeah, so you mentioned you liked playing viola. You graduated with viola performance.
What's your instrument, Sarah?
Oh, glad you asked. I also play the viola.
That's so cool.
Wow, that's really cool. I
instrument.
play the violin.
Yeah, Anna plays the violin.
No, I'm just kidding.
So, like more on that, what do you most like about viola?
That's a really good question too. Okay, so I started playing violin when I was 5 years old, and it wasn't really my choice.
That's okay.
Actually, if truth be told, if I had different parents, I would have been a drummer. But at some point, I said I want to be a drummer, and within 5 minutes, they said, "No way are we going to have a drum set in this house." So I don't know. I think I would have been a great drummer or a bass player. But in any case, you asked me about. So I started playing violin when I was 5. I didn't love it, and then when I was 10, I was in school orchestra, and the teacher said, "Hey, we need violists." And I said, "What's a viola?" And she said, "Well, it's bigger than a violin, and so it's lower, and it's got this cool clef to read, not treble clef, and there aren't as many of you, and the parts that you play are a little bit more interesting because it's not only melody. It's like, anyway, it just appealed to me mainly because it wasn't violin."
Yeah.
Sorry. So sorry.
I personally really like playing viola.
But I love playing viola. I'll tell you why. Because violin.
It doesn't squeak.
That's
there we
why.
go.
But also I've learned to love viola because violin. When you play violin, you're often playing melodies and all the high stuff. When you're playing bass, you're playing the bass lines. Cellos kind of have it cool both ways. They get to do bass lines and they're very melodic. Violas are really truly the middle of the sandwich. Like the peanut butter and the jelly right there between the. And so whereas the people on the extremes tend to be more aware of the extremes.
Each other, yeah.
Violas sort of have to be aware of the entire picture and how they fit in, and I kind of like that role of.
So the next question that we have for you is what do you most love about teaching?
When I was a kid, I still remember my favorite teachers. They were very important to me, not just because what I learned from them, but they're as role models. And then most specifically, when I talk about teaching, the one person who I think of is, and I'll tell you this story. I graduated, this isn't a humble brag, this is to really set the picture. I graduated with a master's degree in viola performance from the Juilliard School. That sounds really impressive. In May of, none of your business. And by December of that year, I was ready to quit playing because I really did not know how to play. I was really at a loss. I had just gotten through just because I loved music and I just kind of made it happen. But on any given day, it was like, well, I hope I have a good day. I hope today's a good day. I really didn't know how any of it worked. And so I didn't really know how to practice and everything. Anyway, I started taking private lessons with somebody who had been at Juilliard, but I didn't want to make waves politically by switching studios, and so I didn't. Everyone told me you should go stay with Mr. Linser, but I didn't want to create a whole scene. So I did. Anyway, I studied with him privately, and for my very first lesson, he taught me. I remember I said, "How come nobody taught me this?" I don't even remember what it was, but it was something really basic. And when I talk about him, I say he saved my life because he taught me that everything is a process. I'm sure you've all heard me say this before. Yeah, that you're never there, and you have to not try to get to Z. It's not about getting to Z because you will never reach Z. You'll get halfway there and realize that Z is now moved. You have to embrace the process and love the process and love the work. So he taught me how it all works, and you've all heard me say this before. It's the saying: if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. So Mr. Linser taught me how to fish. He taught me how to play the viola, and so anyway, to answer your question, as thoroughly when I teach, I feel like I'm paying it forward. Like he's standing behind me, kind of going,
like, you got this.
He had this like funny laugh. I mean, literally, I would show up to his apartment for lessons, and he was in his mid-80s, and he would come to the door excited to show me what he had learned that week. And this is a guy who had been principal violist of the New York Philharmonic. That was his career. He played with everybody, but he was still excited to learn himself. So and he also taught me how easy it could be when it was, this crushingly difficult thing. And so if I can, help even one student feel like it's that easy, then I will have paid it forward. So I owe him a debt.
Yeah, I kind of think it relates to me and Anna too, because like high school, everyone's looking at like the end result, like the end of high school. Oh my God. But like, I know like it's probably more like a process. Like every day you have to just work on getting better, All right. So
You're never there.
Oh, so this is a little different question.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
if you could do something outside of teaching, what would it be?
I don't know. Travel.
Yeah. I think traveling is pretty good because like, I don't know. I feel like we're always like, for me specifically, I mean, I'm a student, so every single day feels like it's just going to school, If like when I'm older, if I get the chance to travel, that would be pretty cool.
Well, I think travel is a really good
teacher too.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, this one's a little interesting. Do you have any hidden talents?
Secret talents.
For example. Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, I can lift one eyebrow. But that's about it. I don't know.
I know 2 different ways of cutting a deck of cards with one hand.
See,
Wow, that's a talent. Yeah.
I'm not good at it, but I can do it.
Everything's a process, right?
Exactly.
Favorite music piece.
You know what? I thought I saw that. I don't have one.
There's so many out there, I know.
Well,
yeah.
I feel like
it really depends on your mood. It's like saying what's your favorite mood. I mean, and even in any given moment, you can be a different thoughts and emotions whirling through your head. So really, whatever speaks to you, you could listen to your favorite piece, at one time a day or when you're in one mood, and it'll affect you in one way, and then another time listen to it in a different mood, and it won't mean as much. So
it depends on like how you feel that day.
Yeah. I have favorite composers. I don't have a favorite composer, but
what are some of your favorite composers?
Composers.
Well, I know it sounds cliche, but definitely Beethoven. I don't feel like I even began to get Beethoven till the summer after I graduated college. And that's one of the great things about Beethoven, I think, too, is what makes him a great composer is I can listen to pieces by Beethoven today that I've been listening to my entire life so far, and
like,
still hear new
hear
things.
something new.
Yeah, or just not even hear. Yeah, definitely hear, but also even more profoundly experience something, feel something because I don't know. It's just it. That's the beautiful thing about music. I can't really explain it. But to be fair too, I also want to say, even the greatest composers, don't bat 1,000. I think there's pieces of Beethoven that I don't. Well, there's
Yeah.
one in particular.
That's also kind of like our modern day pop artists. They have some hits. They have like pieces that they probably don't like reach the audiences that like they want them to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that even some people just, there's also this lightning in a bottle thing, where some people like one hit wonders, bands.
Yeah.
They'll just, even composers will do that. Like one piece will just, and even they'll sometimes say, I have no idea where this came from. It just happened. So
creativity bursts.
Yeah.
So our next question is like touching on both like the subjects of like travel and like playing your instrument. Like if you were to perform anywhere in the world, where would you perform?
Anywhere.
I mean, well, I should say that I feel lucky that playing an instrument has taken me places I never would have gone and never would have been able to go, and meet people I never would have been able to meet. So that I feel really lucky about that. But as far as performing, I don't know. I've performed as far away as Kuala Lumpur. That's as far away as I've played.
Whoa, where is that?
It's turn off the camera. No, I think it's Malaysia. Is that right? Malaysia.
Whoa, that's really far.
That is far.
Yeah, that's like.
I hope I'm right. We'll edit this out.
That's okay.
Yeah.
No, but the thing about that question, where would you want to perform? Playing music, it almost doesn't.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, music is
I mean, music's everywhere.
temporal
Yeah.
too. So you're always in the present. You're always in wherever you are.
Yeah.
Although, as I'm saying this, I'm thinking it was cool when I was in youth orchestra. We got to go to Europe and playing Beethoven, for example, or playing any composer on the soil
that they wrote the piece.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's something to that. There's
Yeah.
something to be said for that, and for the people from that culture.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna start to wrap up our podcast, but our last question for you is like, what piece of advice would you give to Pingry students?
Us.
Yeah. Or like to the Pingry students listening.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? Oh gosh, you know what?
I would say first and foremost, I don't think on your deathbed you're going to be thinking to yourselves, "God, I wish I had more time to look at my phone."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things that I think you're going to find really matter and value in life are your friends and your family and your relationships. Go out and enjoy life. We are alive for just a very short amount of time. It seems like forever. Now, I'm being really serious now. It seems like forever for you now.
Yeah.
It does. It seems like, but it goes by very quickly. I'm sure everyone says that to you. When I say put down your phones, I mean go smell the air, look at a tree.
Touch grass.
Yes. Travel, enjoy people and different. It just. Now, as far as specific advice, I remember there were two pieces of advice I remember hearing later in life that I remember saying, I wish someone had told me that earlier, because it's really good. One is, I'm sure you've heard it because now it's become kind of ubiquitous. Everyone says this or mentions this. It's and I'm paraphrasing, and I believe it's Maya Angelou who said, and again I'm paraphrasing. People won't remember what you say, and they won't remember what you do, but they'll remember how you make them feel. That's a really good piece of advice. One more. One more piece of advice. And this sounds, I have to explain it because it sounds harsh on its surface.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really good piece of advice.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares, work harder. No, and that's, so I have to explain it. It just means that so often you're going to want to say, oh, I didn't do this because of this, or I didn't do this, or I couldn't do that because of that. And nobody cares. everyone has, it means you have to recognize everyone has their own troubles, everyone's living in their own realities and having to deal with their own stuff. And so don't put your stuff on them. That's all that means, is like nobody cares.
Yeah.
Because they have their own stuff. Just work harder. If you work hard and you appreciate life, you'll do well.
All right. Thank you so much for doing this podcast with
Oh
us.
my God, I hope.
All right. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.